If you ask anyone who uses Goodreads how they feel about Goodreads, you'll probably hear about how it's clunky, ugly, old, uninnovative. They haven't changed the UI in years. Amazon kind of bought them and then shoved them into a drawer and left it there to be forgotten. So what is wrong with Goodreads? What did I not like about Goodreads? Number one thing, as I was saying just now, is UI UX. So bad. Just ugly and uncharming, unchanging. I think they did a logo refresh a few years ago, changed the font. That was big. Other than that, it stayed its clunky self ever since, which would have been fine for like an indie little cute website, but it really feels negligent of Amazon, to be honest. So the rating system in Goodreads is very constricting. If you look at my reviews on Goodreads, you might see a lot of my reviews have kind of a start with a true rating that I give it. For example, it might have 4 stars because Goodreads forced me to give it 4 stars, but I'll say in my review that this is a 3.5 star book, which feels vastly different from a 4-star book in my head. The next thing I'd say is like the social media aspect, meaning you can't find your friends through Goodreads. The search bar is exclusively for books, so you cannot search for your friends' profiles. All of the friends I have on Goodreads, I found them, or no, I never even found them. I basically had to message them and ask them to send their Goodreads profile link to me, and then I would click on that, see their page, and then request to friend them. And the activity feed, like the homepage, I never peruse that. I am never scrolling through that. It is like just so ugly, and like the social part is just, it's just non-existent. No one's really posting there. Stats or like insights. I want to see what kind of books am I reading, what kind of reader am I, just general statistics on my reading habits, the types of books I read. And I feel like Goodreads has all that data on me, and they refuse to release it. They started doing a year in books a few years ago that they email you at the end of the year, and then it's kind of laughable what they use in there. It is like, oh, the shortest book you read that year, the longest book, your average rating, and that's really it. So after years and years of hating Goodreads, of complaining about Goodreads, and still continuing to stick with it like a toxic relationship, I finally have built something for myself and for others who feel similarly to me. This is PagePacked. It's available for iOS, and there's also a web app, which I'll show shortly, and it addresses each of these issues and more. From the get-go, you can kind of get a glance at what the UI is like. I can pull up the web app as well. It's clean, nice, simple, and easy to navigate. No clutter. Secondly, the rating system. Instead of a rating system, we use a ranking system, meaning sort of like Belly, you compare books head to head in the same tier so that it finds a nice little nest for it to belong relative to your other books. Because when I would rate a book in Goodreads, I would find myself trying to find the most accurate rating by being like, okay, well, in the past I rated that one book like a 3.75, and I think I enjoyed this book a bit more than that, so it has to be above that. But wait, 3.8 feels like too, and just like way too much, like thinking, when it should just be a quick, how much did I enjoy this book kind of thinking. Like, so if I were to show you how this works, let's pick Curse Bunny. I read this in 2022, and I think I gave it like a 3 point something in Goodreads, and this is from an import from Goodreads. Let's say I want to re-rank it. So here we do have 5 stars, so this looks similar to Goodreads, but what will happen is if I pick a tier, it will ask me which one I enjoyed more, and it'll ask me to do some head-to-head comparisons with other books within that tier. Moments, Curse Bunny, there we go. I get a 3.5. Yeah, so this is an autofill from Goodreads. I can say if it contains spoilers or not, and I can save the ranking. I'm going to do save and review and view so I can see exactly where it lands in my rankings, but scroll, auto scroll to the spot, and there we see it. It's ranked number 87, and we can see where it sits relative to other books in that tier and within all the books that I've ranked ever. You can delete a ranking at any point, you can re-rank, and you can always reorder. So if I'm like, well, actually I enjoyed this like a lot more than all these other books, then at any point you can just drag and drop and it will recalculate its score. The next thing I talked about a bit for Goodreads I don't like is the social media aspect being absolutely dead. That is definitely something that I wanted to change. So here in the search page, you can easily search for your friends if they have an account. So I'm just gonna look for my friend here, Rebecca. She hasn't accepted my friend request, but there you go, she's private. Or Emmy. Emmy. There we go. And in the homepage, you can obviously see people that you follow, their posts. At any point, you can privatize your account if you don't want people to be able to see your posts and your reviews and rankings at will. And if we look up a book, let's say we look up a book that I've read, Conversation with Friends. I read this recently. So here we can see my sort of information, my ranking, and my review of this book. If I scroll down here, I can see my friend's ranking of this book, which is rather poor actually. But yeah, I wanted to create an app that felt like the community is always there, but it's not demanding. So if you don't post a lot, if you don't want to post, if you don't want people to see your post, very fine. This app can solely exist as a tracking app, and it will still feel whole. Or at any point, you can join the community and interact as much as you want. And the last aspect that I briefly talked about was stats, lack of stats. I definitely want to change that because I just want to see all these fun graphs and stuff. So we have a week view, a month view, a year view of just reading that you've done. You can track your sessions and you can see how many books you finished. And in the year view, you can see a chart of when you finished what book. And then the all-time tab, you can see even more. So this is like rating distribution, your flow of books, like how many you want to read, how many you've actually started, and from there, like what happens to those books, finished, abandoned reading. Top genres, fiction versus nonfiction, clearly I don't really read nonfiction, and top authors. So yeah, that is my app. I worked really hard on it. It's free on iOS, or join on the web app at pagepacked.app because .com was already taken. But yeah, I really appreciate any feedback. Thank you for your time.